Welcome everyone to 3 Count Commentaries. I am MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to talk about Saturday night's main event. We're also going to talk about Smackdown because you guys didn't notice. I didn't talk about Smackdown. The show was terrible, so I skipped it. I just didn't care, and nobody else did either. I got 0 messages asking me what happened to Smackdown. I watched Supercard of Honor and Smackdown simultaneously and ended up doing a Supercard of Honor review, which I shouldn't have done because I was actually quite bored by most of the show. But let's talk about Saturday night's main event, and then we'll dip over to SmackDown. Okay, the big story coming out of SmackDown was the story that everybody was been grumbling about mostly. What is going on with Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Jelly Roll, and Logan Paul? What's happening here? And all of this came together so quickly. It started out on the internet. There was a lot of talk about Jelly Roll being involved with something in WWE, and people immediately shit all over it. I don't know the first thing about fucking Jelly Roll. I really don't. I don't know nothing about this guy. I see him. I think he was fatter the last time I saw him, but he's still quite penguinish now. Got face tattoos, so I already don't trust him. They decided they were going to do a random musical segment on SmackDown. Usually, they announce a musical segment. They say, oh, we're going to have a special announcement from Jelly Roll, special performance for Jelly Roll or whatever. And they didn't do that on SmackDown. It's just random. Jelly Roll's going to rap or whatever he does in the ring. And then Logan Paul cuts him off, saying they didn't want him in there because he's a clout chaser. He shouldn't be in the ring with real wrestlers like him. Which, of course, a lot of people was like, man, that's a great message, but what about the messenger? That sucks. And Logan Paul is saying that. Like, you don't get that that's what that's the point here? Is that Logan Paul is claiming to be a real wrestler and he's not? Anyway, this ended up with Randy Orton coming out, taking up for Jelly Roll, but we don't know why. Why does Randy Orton give a fuck about Jelly Roll? When does Randy Orton care about celebrity involvements? And when was the last time Randy Orton was involved with a celebrity on WWE television? He's never involved with celebrities. And why is Randy Orton a superhero all of a sudden? Captain Save a Celeb. Why is he doing this? Why is he in this role? It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, this whole segment ends up with Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre assaulting Randy Orton. And Jelly Roll is just standing there watching. And then he can't watch no more. The crowd, I think this was his hometown, is egging him to do something. Save Randy. So he grabs Logan Paul by the hair and snatches him off of Randy Orton. And Logan Paul flees or whatever. After Randy Orton gets up, he starts to fight back and everybody runs away. Logan Paul then goes up to the equipment for Jelly Roll's band. He's turning over the keyboard, smashing the drums, knocking stuff over, and nobody's trying to stop him. They're just letting him destroy shit. After all of this, Randy Orton and Jelly Roll are backstage, and Jelly Roll says he's going to be in Randy Orton's corner for his match at Saturday night's main event because he doesn't trust Logan Paul to stay out of the match. I'm like, Jelly Roll, how is he going to watch Randy Orton's back? Is his back going to be covered in donuts? Is his back going to be covered in sprinkles? Why would this guy want to watch Randy Orton's back? Is his back going to be covered in Auntie Annie's pretzels? Why does this fat fucking fool going to be involved with Randy Orton? Why? This does not make sense. I don't care about the celebrity involvement. It's WWE. Make it make sense. This guy can't fight. Okay? Why would Randy Orton be okay with a guy who can't fight watching his back? Oh, Lord have mercy. Fast forward to Saturday. The first match on Saturday night's main event, Randy Orton defeats Drew McIntyre. Jelly Roll was in Randy Orton's corner. Logan Paul was in Drew McIntyre's corner. Outside the ring, Jelly Roll and Logan Paul are shoving each other back and forth. Drew McIntyre is yelling at Jelly Roll. He wants to fight him or eat him or poke his belly or something. I don't know. Drew McIntyre just sleepwalks into an RKO, the easiest win of Randy Orton's life. This was very disappointing. I expected more of this match. This could have been a bigger match. Obviously, Randy can't take too many bumps. He's very limited. And that's probably why he's involved with this whole Jelly Roll thing. And I figure, like, is Jelly Roll got an album to sell? Is he going to be in a movie? Why is he doing this? What's this about? What's this for? Usually these things are for some kind of promotion. I don't know. Anyway, Logan Paul sucker punches Randy Orton as he's celebrating his victory. And all of a sudden, Jelly Roll he again grabs Logan Paul and throws a punch and knocks Logan Paul down, which was very impressive. And while his back's turned, he gets a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre. And McIntyre and Logan Paul start seething at him. They're yelling at him. And that was that. And then later on, Jelly Roll is backstage with Randy Orton. And Randy Orton is like, bro, I'm sorry. He's apologizing to the fat fool now. What is this? What is this? What have they done to Randy Orton? They have defanged the Viper. What are you doing? He's like, I'm so sorry I had you out there, Jelly Roll. Even though you wanted to be out there, even though you, as a grown adult male, was out there on your own volition and got put on your back pockets. That's your problem. I told you not to come out there. No, Randy's like, I'm so sorry, man. Those are very tough guys out there. Like, what in the hell? And then Jelly Roll's like, they think I'm soft, so I want to fight them. Like, we know you're soft. You're a human plushie. We know you're soft. What is going on here? And so Randy Orton comes up with this genius idea of a match at SummerSlam. Now, here's my problem. This all came together way too fast. 2 appearances. And they have a match at SummerSlam already. 2 appearances? This guy, they speed ran through this storyline. Okay? I don't even know what the storyline is about, really. Logan Paul doesn't like clout chasers, even though he is a clout chaser. He's a hypocrite, okay? And because of this, he ruined Jelly Roll's performance. And he also was the catalyst for Jelly Roll being kicked in the head. Okay. But this all happened in 2 days. This happened in 2 days. And now they have a match that's like weeks away. So is Jelly Roll not going to show up for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or whatever before SummerSlam? Look, man. Yes, there's a lot of people who are going to say, what about Austin Theory? What about Carmelo Hayes? What about this guy and that guy and all the guys who aren't getting booked? This is WWE, man. There's always going to be guys who are not getting booked and they're bringing in celebrities. My thing is, make it make sense and actually put some thought into the storyline. I don't think they put a lot of thought into this. I don't think there was a lot of love and appreciation put into this. I don't think there was much of anything. I look at it and I say this was a rushed storyline, a rushed angle for this match, and they didn't quite flesh it out. And Triple H is known for trying to book things so far ahead that he leaves so much open space. And yeah, you got Randy and Drew McIntyre sewed up for SummerSlam. So you got their storyline all queued up already. That's great. But what about the next several weeks? Is Jelly Roll not going to be on the show? Do we care? No. You know, look, I'm pretty sure the Jelly Roll stuff is going to get massive social media numbers. I'm pretty sure it will. But I don't know who Jelly Roll is. I don't care about this. And I do want you to do something with other people on the show. And I don't think Drew McIntyre should be tied up in this. I don't think Randy Orton should be tied up in this. And I don't really care that Logan Paul is tied up in it. But this is absolutely something you should be doing with The Miz. You know, The Miz should be fighting Jelly Roll. Like, if it was The Miz and Logan Paul, I wouldn't have too many problems about this at all. But Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton tied up in this? Come on. Just get real. No, I don't want. We can't take guys of that caliber and put them in this situation. Do you really want Drew McIntyre selling for Jelly Roll? Is that what you want? If it was The Miz, we'd be cooking with grease. I don't care. The Miz can make anybody look good, and you can bump The Miz and it won't matter. Logan Paul, same thing. But Drew McIntyre, the guy who just fought in a Hell in a Cell match, former world champion, guy who actually has muscles and goes to the gym, you versus you, Project Rock, Drew McIntyre, get the fuck out of here. Next, moving on. Naomi jumped Jade Cargill again. She was in the crowd as they were going through all the Evolution stars who are going to wrestle on the Evolution show. Naomi jumped her from behind. This led to Jade Cargill chucking Naomi over the desk. As the officials separated them, Nick Aldis announced that Bianca Belair is going to be the special guest referee for their match at Evolution. So you're about to get either the Bianca Belair concrete babyface, or she's going to turn heel. One or the other. And it seems like the company might push her towards turning heel. So I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't cost Jade Cargill the match. I don't want that to happen, and I hope that doesn't happen. Hopefully me saying it will make it not happen. Hopefully Bianca just plays everything straight, stays neutral, and Jade wins. And we can just call it a day, because Jade needs to win that match. Alright, let's move on. The second match on the show, Jimmy Uso is defeated by Solo Sikoa. But Jimmy Uso has a really good showing here. This match stems from what took place on Smackdown when Solo Sikoa went out there to bully LA Knight and Paul Heyman, basically taking over the show, telling guys to beat it and get out of there. Jimmy ended up helping LA Knight fight off Solo. The MFTs jumped him, and it ended up with a tag team match for the main event, which was LA Knight and Jimmy Uso versus Solo Sikoa and JC Mateo. Absolutely abysmal main event. Not that the match was bad, but just that I didn't want to see it. Like, I didn't want to see this. I didn't want to watch this. I didn't want to experience it. It has no stakes. It's going nowhere. It doesn't matter. Jimmy Uso and LA Knight won that match. JC Mateo looks like shit. Why was he given work? Why was he given a job? God, he looks worse than he was in Japan. He looks like Rhino now. Late stage Rhino. This is terrible. Anyway, Jimmy pinned Solo to win the match. So this is why this was set up. So Jimmy Uso actually had a decent match with Solo. His match with Jay obviously tainted the entire idea of brother versus brother in WWE. But Jimmy Uso is becoming the work rate of the two guys. And he actually did a good job here. Solo wins with a roll-up and a little bit of help from Tala Tonga, who we all know is Hikuleo. After that, Jimmy Uso, of course, got beat up by the MFTs and Solo. And then Jacob Fatu ran to the ring and cleaned house. So they're still telling the same story here. This was fine. It was inoffensive. Nothing to get excited about. Nothing to get upset about. So it was fine. Match 3, Seth Rollins versus LA Knight. Now this is an interesting one, because LA Knight started SmackDown with a promo, and during this promo, he was talking about Seth Rollins not being able to beat him up, and he has the Bronze do it because he couldn't do it himself. And then he said he's going to hurt Seth Rollins because he is the spoiler. Paul Heyman came out and said that Seth Rollins refers to him as the Oracle because he can see the future, and that Seth Rollins and the Bronze are the future, and LA Knight, he sees no future for him because there's no future at all for him. And then that's when Solo interrupted this whole thing. So they ended up being the third match on Saturday night's main event. Seth Rollins does a springboard, lands on his feet, but jams his knee, He sits on his butt for 3 minutes, and then the referee decides that he can continue to wrestle for some odd reason. He stands up, takes 2 steps, gets kicked in the stomach and BFT'd, and that's it. LA Knight wins. That's the match. I appreciate that Seth Rollins finished it, at the very least, but that was it. Now, it can't be helped that Seth Rollins got hurt. That just can't be helped. I'm sure that it was an audible call, and they told LA Knight to get to the finish immediately. Rollins looked hurt, but he also didn't look hurt. There was a lot of conversation about whether it was a work or not. Clearly it wasn't, but whatever. Seth Rollins, his knees are becoming a big problem, isn't it? Is it becoming almost as much of a problem as his back? I think Unk needs to relax. Look, he's almost 40. When you're a high flyer at almost 40, bro, the knees are the first thing to go. You know, he tore his first, I think was an ACL or whatever in like 2015 or something like that. And it's been knee problems ever since. He needs to modify his style so that he doesn't do so much of that stuff, and or at least that he saves it for big shows. Like, and a lot of people have been asking questions about the excessive amount of injuries now, and a lot of that has to do with them cutting out house shows, and now these guys are working less and less. So now when they do work, they're tearing their ACLs and blowing out their knees and all that kind of stuff. They're getting, I don't want to say rusty, but that's probably the best way to put it. You know, their bodies are not used to it anymore. You know, the schedule is too relaxed. But Seth Rollins is, he's an interesting case because he was actually earmarked to be a top star from this point forward. Obviously, he's been a top star for 10 years, but he was actually going to be integral in WWE's plans for the next year or so. We don't know how bad this knee injury is, if he tore anything, at least as of time of recording. We don't know if he tore something or if it's just a knee jam or something like that it might be just some swelling, and when that's over, he'll be good. Because he's walking around with the Money in the Bank briefcase, right? So he's walking around with the Money in the Bank, unless he's going to be out more than a year, which I don't think so. You know, it didn't look like he might be out for a year. He did need to get help walk to the back, but I don't think he's going to be out for a year. He can hold the Money in the Bank while sitting at home, rehabbing whatever this is. But Seth Rollins it's about time for him to modify his style or for him to be moved to the side. It's already the case that a lot of people are not buying into the character and not buying into the angle and not buying into the faction. Now he's getting injured. And, you know, that's holding up production. Obviously, when a guy like Seth Rollins goes down, that opens up an opportunity. That's the unfortunate thing, is somebody's got to fill the hole he's leaving behind. And this could be a spot for, you know, Braun Breaker, or hopefully not Bronson Reed, but it could be for somebody. And we'll see. It depends, I think, a lot on how long Seth Rollins is going to be out. LA Knight, of course, didn't look good in victory. He won the match, but what does that mean? You know, where's he going to go now? Because if Seth's hurt, they can't continue this feud unless they pivot him to one of the Brons and continue that feud. But this is just ended up blowing up in their face. So that's very unfortunate. Now, because this match was short, Goldberg and Gunther had to go longer. Now, Goldberg and Gunther was the main event, obviously. Ernest the Cat Miller, Josh Barnett, Chuck Zito, they were all around him. His son, they walked him to the ring one final time for Bill Goldberg. And Goldberg has a pretty solid match with Gunther, which I know had to be extended for a little while due to the injury. But NBC, they're not playing any games with WWE. They absolutely gobbled this match up with commercials. They gobbled up the entire show with commercials. But there was just an excessive number of commercials throughout this thing. And The Goldberg match was sensible. It was probably one of the more sensible matches you're going to see out there because Goldberg is 60. He's not going to do anything too fancy. So he was no-selling a lot of Gunther's chops, which I really appreciated because Goldberg is a 60-year-old tank. And a 60-year-old tank is still a tank, by God. So him no-selling the chops for the most part, except for when Gunther really got him in the throat. That was good, smart stuff by Gunther. Goldberg tries to spear Gunther. He goes through the barricade. Goldberg was running at all the speed of a stumbling baby at that point, though. There wasn't a lot of explosion in those legs. Later, Gunther is working the knee of Goldberg, working the knee and the body, getting him to sell some. He snatched his knee brace off. And Goldberg tries to spear Gunther again. He missed, ended up spearing Charles Robinson. That's the second bump Lil Nate has taken this year. He's taken more bumps this year than Randy Orton has. Gunther gets control of the match. He actually goes outside the ring. He starts taunting Goldberg's son, Gage. Gage jumps the barricade. He gets snatched back by officials and such. He gets back in the ring, Gunther does, and gets speared by Bill Goldberg. He gets jackhammered by Bill Goldberg. That one was kind of shaky. But, a second referee runs to the ring, but Goldberg takes time to sell his knee because when he did the jackhammer, he came down on his knees. So, just that little bit of break gave Gunther an out so he can kick out. And Goldberg continues to try to fight, but then he gets caught in a sleeper hold. And he ends up getting choked out. Gunther wins via referee stoppage to remain the World Heavyweight Champion. A gallant effort from Bill Goldberg. And that was it. That was the end of the illustrious career of Bill Goldberg. They go to commercial immediately after the bell. So you got no time to absorb what happened. You come back, there's a bunch of people in the ring. Goldberg thanks the city of Atlanta, thanks his family and friends, and is cuts off again. That was insane. That was psychotic, bro. I mean, NBC is so cutthroat. They just absolutely destroyed what could have been a really awesome moment for Bill Goldberg. At least he got to thank Atlanta and the family and the friends before it cut off. Because otherwise, man, they were not playing no games with WWE. In terms of letting them flesh out anything. And this was a 4-match show. And they still chopped it up like this. Oh, man. This show went about pretty quickly, too. It felt full, even with only 4 matches. But I think a lot of that is because of the Jelly Roll shit, right? So, Goldberg had his moment. We're all very happy for him. We did a good job, I think. In the match. I was very invested in Goldberg's match. I didn't think he would win. I was hoping he'd win, but I didn't think he would win. But they still did a good job of making him look strong. He didn't look weak on his way out, so that was great. So let's hit some other notes of SmackDown before we wrap this thing up. Alexa Bliss defeated Kairi Sane, Roxanne Perez, and Sol Ruka in a fatal 4-way match on SmackDown that made no fucking sense. It was just one person from every team at Evolution. Sol Ruka got to make her SmackDown debut, even though she didn't win. She got to do the double Soul Snatcher, though, so she got to look good, at least. The Wyatt Six defeated the Street Profits to win the Tag Team Championship. This match was abysmal. This was terrible. The Wyatt Six cannot work. This sucks. And the Street Profits got no fucking storyline. They won the titles. They had the titles. The storyline has been mostly on DIY, yelling about the Wyatt Six and complaining about the Wyatt Six being in the tag team division because they're scared of them. The Wyatt Six cheated, even though they're supposed to be the baby faces. They had outside help. And now they're the tag team champions. They're the worst team in the division. They're terrible. Ugh, I can't stand this. This is ridiculous. And then it's followed up by Andrade and Phoenix officially joining the tag team division of SmackDown, which would have been more interesting than the Wyatt Six. I hate the Wyatt Six now. Poor Street Profits. My God, what the fuck is going on here? Poor Andrade and Phoenix. Oh my God, what the hell is going on? Then, because for some reason things went long on SmackDown, maybe it was that Wyatt Six Street Profits match. It was long and terrible. It was very bad. But then R-Truth and Aleister Black got cut to 2 minutes. 2 minutes. R-Truth didn't even get an entrance. They tried to have a real match in 2 minutes. They did the best they could. Then Aleister Black got rolled up by R-Truth and pinned. Aleister Black, oh boy. Wait, so I gotta tell you how this happened if you didn't watch SmackDown. R-Truth went outside the ring and got a chair because he was frustrated about this whole thing. He slides a chair in the ring. Aleister Black tries to take the chair. He picks the chair up. Referee snatches the chair from Aleister Black. From there, R-Truth rolls up Aleister Black in a schoolboy and pins him. Just kind of like a roll-up pin. So Aleister Black loses his very first match in WWE to R-Truth. R-Truth walks away, just nonchalant. He won. A lot of people are frustrated about this. They're very angry that R-Truth beat Aleister Black. I, of course, am not frustrated about it because I figured it's a story. You know, wins and losses can matter if you flesh them out. I figured if R-Truth won this match, it was going to be the end of Aleister Black as we knew it. And that's exactly what happened. Aleister Black, having been rolled up by R-Truth, he follows R-Truth backstage. He's going to attack him from behind. Damian Priest tries to talk him out of it. And Aleister Black seems like he's going to be sensible and rational about this whole thing. He's going to be very mature and very adult about this. He shakes Damian Priest's hand. He don't want no smoke. And then he turns him around, knees him in the face, kicks him in the gut, and then gives him the black mass. So Aleister Black has now officially turned heel, which is what we needed. We needed a heel Aleister Black, which they've never actually done in WWE. Now, R-Truth, where do we go from here? A lot of people are questioning whether this thing continues. I believe it does. I think they probably run this match back a lot longer, and then R-Truth loses that time. That seems to be the next way we're going with this. I'm not upset that R-Truth beat Aleister Black. I'm not one of those people. I think that this new R-Truth does need to be established. I think that the match being so short doesn't give you the opportunity to establish him. I also don't think it did Aleister Black any good. I think you probably could have had all of this stuff happen without Aleister Black getting pinned. You probably could have had R-Truth hit Aleister Black with a chair, got disqualified, and then just, you know, Aleister Black follows him because he's angry. But that probably would have turned R-Truth heel. So they don't want to do that. But I'm not upset that R-Truth pinned Aleister Black. Obviously, it looked like a fluke because it was. I don't think they're serious about pushing R-Truth. They aren't. So there's that. Then there was the Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus promo segment on the show where Tiffany Stratton doesn't quite get why she's a babyface and that as a babyface, she can't be so cocky. I mean, that's just part of the gimmick. She just doesn't understand that part. But this is also because she became a babyface because the crowd likes her and not because she did anything to become a babyface, right? It was just, oh, she's pretty. It's Tiffy time. Hell yeah. And then that was it. They didn't have to invest a lot of time and effort into building the character, you know? So somebody has to take her by the bicep and say, Tiffy, you're a babyface, okay? There's certain things that you can say and certain things you can't say. There's certain ways to say things. If you look at the way you say things, it's still kind of heelish. Because it seemed like she was healing on Trish, which maybe that was what they wanted, but it didn't bode well for her character because she's supposed to be a babyface. So Tiffany said that she's beat Charlotte, she's beat Bayley, she's beat Nia Jax, she's beaten some of the GOATs. So maybe if she beats the GOAT, being Trish Stratus, then maybe she'll be considered one of the GOATs. And then she says she knows all about Trish Stratus' accomplishments. She saw the VHS tapes, essentially calling her old. So Trish Stratus thinks that Tiffany is under the most pressure because of how young she is. And she says she's already the GOAT. She's got nothing to lose. And then the party was crashed by Naomi and Jade Cargill fighting again. So Trish Stratus and Tiffany, it was a decent segment. They were taking chunks out of each other verbally. Trish Stratus was very smart to go online and say this whole thing has been rushed, and I wish we could have gotten more time. And it's like, yeah, when you got booked at Elimination Chamber to be partners with Tiffany, maybe we should have started the build for this right after that. But no, we had to have Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax again, rather than, storylines between her and Trish. Now, you can tell when you look at this thing that a lot of the older people who come in and they're looking at how rushed some of these storylines are, how storylines are basically left to die on the vine, that they're wishing the old man was still there. Unfortunate. Look, Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton ought to have a pretty good match. Trish can still go, even though she's almost 50. And Tiffany is a great motor. She needs to work on her character stuff, but she's got all the athletic parts down. She needs help with her promos, and she needs help with some of the athletic stuff. But everything else, she's got it locked down. Overall, though, this is the match I'm most looking forward to for Evolution, because I'm a Tiffany Stratton fan, and I'm thinking we're near the end of the Trish Stratus train. I don't think she's going to have too many more matches. Hell, this might be the last one. You never know. But I expect a lot out of this match. And I was very impressed when Trish worked with Becky over, I think it was 2024 or 2023, whenever that was. I was very impressed with those matches she had. So hopefully she can get something out of Tiffany Stratton. Maybe, just maybe, we get another Trish Stratus match out of this too. But I don't think Trish is going to win the title. I think that pretty much what we're looking at is likely Naomi cashing in the Money in the Bank, or Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill at SummerSlam. One or the other. Saturday night's main event was it's kind of like Smackdown, basically. That's pretty much all it was. It was not special at all, except for the Goldberg stuff. Unfortunate injury to Seth Rollins. Smackdown was terrible. It's been terrible ever since Road Dogg took it over. 2 hours, 3 hours, it doesn't matter. The show was poorly formatted. The stars don't appear. I don't understand how you don't have Roman Reigns at least do a pre-tape. I don't know what the fuck is going on. They're selling Brock Lesnar merchandise again. They're trying to stealth push Brock. They're teasing people that Brock is going to come back. We'll see. I think that when Diddy skated on that one thing, that a lot of people was like, oh, well, I guess Vince is going to skate too, and Brock's going to be able to come back. Don't overthink it. Just, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't care. But WWE right now is really killing me. And a lot of that has to do with they're producing so much content that is just that. It's slop. It's content. They're trying to tell stories, but something's in the way, And I think that just having so many shows this weekend, they had 3 shows this weekend, They were booking 3 shows at once. That's a lot. Some of these shows are not going to be worth watching. And SmackDown was the one. If you watch SmackDown all the way through, you're a trooper. But it's clear to me that the creative for WWE has been an utter disaster. And it's been this way since Road Dogg took over SmackDown. SmackDown has not been a good show. It really has not. It's been terrible. And the promos have been off. A lot of the character work has been really bad. The matches have been wishy-washy. They've been bad too. So whoever was booking SmackDown a year or 2 ago, probably I don't think Road Dogg has been there very long, but it's been really bad since he took over. And I know AJ Styles' Uncle Allen, he stood up for Road Dogg and was like, oh yeah, he might have some really good ideas. Back then there was people, not letting him get his ideas out. His ideas suck, bro. We see his ideas now. They're not good. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you guys later. Peace.